Hello everyone, today we'll be starting with a flaw. So in this case what happens is that the statement is false, or you can say it has some defect in it, or you can say there is some error in it. So now let's write it. You can say there is some error, the statement is false, or you can say there is some defect. Now let's see the example in this. So the example is Ram studies a lot, and conclusion is he is boring. You can see that this is premise over here. So over here you can see that flaw is that over here you cannot say that if Ram studies a lot, he is boring. So this studies and boring is not going in a flow. So you can see that this is a flaw in this case. So you can write studies not going in a flow with boring. Now let's see some common flaw. So the first one is confusing causation with correlation. So now let's understand this. So in this case you can see that there are two events. Okay, so you cannot say that for causing that both the events only one cause is there. You can see that there can be different causes for causing that two events. So now let's understand it through an example. Through this you can understand it more better. So you can see that there was increase in ice cream sale, and you might correlate with rise in crime rates. So now let's understand this point. Okay, so you cannot say that if people are eating more ice cream then they are doing more crimes, but there can be another cause that is causing these two events. So you can see that the month during which these two were increasing was a warmer month. So you can say that is why there was increase in both the cases. The second point is confusing numbers with rates. So now let's understand this point. Okay, so you can see that if in the passage you have been given that there occurred 200 crimes, okay, but in the options you have been given that there occurred 1000 crimes, so that will not be the correct option. That you can say there is a flaw, because you cannot compare 200 is such a small number and 1000 is a very huge number, so you cannot relate it. Okay, so example you can write it as 200 crimes and 1000 crimes, but you cannot say that it's impossible, not possible, or you can say can't say. The third point is conclusion mismatch. Now let's understand this point through an example. So you can see that there is a person A who loves to sing, but later you are saying that A is a party person. So you cannot say this. In this case it is a flaw, because sing cannot be compared to party. So you can write it that A likes to sing and thus A is a party person. But in this case it is a flaw. Why? Because you cannot compare sing to party. Now let's see the fourth point. If there is some extreme condition. The fifth point is mistaking necessary for sufficient. Let's understand this point through an example. So you can see that there is a car that is not running, and you are saying that currently I have filled the gas tank. So in this case, you can see the flaw is that you cannot say that only diesel and gas tank is sufficient, because you don't know the actual reason why the car is not running. So you can write it as I don't know why the car won't run. I just filled the gas tank. So you can see the flaw is that you are assuming that only diesel and gas tank is sufficient. The sixth point is guilty by association. Let's understand this point through an example. So you can see that there is a person, John, who is an artist, and you can see that he has black hair. So in conclusion, you are saying that all person, those who have black hair, are an artist. But you can see that there is a flaw, because just seeing one person, you cannot relate it to all. So you can write it that there is a person, John, who is an artist, and John has black hair. Therefore, all people with black hair are an artist. But the flaw in this case is that only seeing a person, you cannot relate it to all. The next point is unrepresentative sample. So let's understand this case. So in this case, what happens is that you have done some research, but you were not supposed to do that. So let's write it. On whom we have done research was not to be done. And another example you can take is that you took the wrong sample and you got the result. So you can say sample wrong, that was wrong, and you got the result. So now let's see what type of question you will get. So the first question is identifies the most serious logical flaw. Second is best identifies the error in reasoning. The next is argument is vulnerable to criticism. Next one is argument is not sound because it fails to establish dash. Hope so the video was helpful. Thank you so much.